Guys, welcome to the ELKSHAPE podcast. New guest in person, Raya. What's your last name?
Hambright.
Hambright.
Yeah.
From Oregon.
Yeah.
What part of Oregon?
Central Oregon.
Okay. You are into archery.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
It's a very new thing for me, and I'm loving it.
How new?
New? Okay, so you want me to tell the whole story?
Yeah, we're podcasting. I got time for that.
Okay, great. So my husband originally, when we were living in California, he bought a bow off Amazon, and he's 6'4", pretty strong man, and it was a youth bow, a Bear Royale, and he was like, yeah, that's not going to work for me. So he kind of was like, hey, this is yours now, and I'm like, great, cool, what do I need this for type thing. And then we moved out to Oregon, and having more of the space and him starting to go out and go hunting and whatnot, I was like, you know what, let's just kind of mess around and have fun. And then I loved it. When you if you go surfing and you catch a wave for the first time, hooked, right?
Yeah.
All right, if you go golfing and you see that freaking ball just right on the green, hooked, right?
Yep.
That's how it was for me. I shot an arrow and it hit the target. And I'm like, okay, I'm doing this now. And the dream just went from there. So
I love that. I do. So you grew up in California, born and raised. What part of California? Southern California?
Yeah, I was born in Encinitas, between LA and San Diego, I say. Just Encinitas, California. I don't know if you know.
I do know. That's cool. And then you got out of California recently. So how long have you been in Oregon?
I've been in Oregon since November of last year, so 1 year.
How many people live where you live in Oregon?
Family-wise?
No, population.
Oh, population, no idea. I have no idea.
Poquito compared to,
Definitely.
You're
the whole city girl gone country, 100%.
Seriously?
Yeah, for sure.
And that's the name of your TikTok?
Yeah.
So what is it one more time?
So it's,
City Girl Gone Country?
Yes.
Okay, I'll leave a link, guys, because I know there's some TikTokers out there, and your TikTok has blown up. You just started it, and all of a sudden you have how many followers now? Or
12K.
12K?
Yeah. 0
to 12K in a heartbeat. What are you doing on TikTok?
I'm just having fun, honestly. I have been shooting arrows, and then I was like, you know what? This is let me film it, right? And then it just was all right, this is way too much fun to stop. So I just kept rolling with it, I'm
Definitely
doing my banter and mixed in with it. I look like a complete goober, but I'm just I love it, So I'm trying to challenge myself every day to dive deeper into it and shoot farther. And a lot of people are don't be adjusting your own bow, but I like to self-learn, and I don't really have the capabilities to go to a bow shop and get it all set up and whatnot. So it's just been documenting that journey.
Seriously, so you've never been to an archery shop with your bow?
Mm-mm.
Okay. That's, to me, I'm all about learning archery is never ending. That's why I like it. It's just you never master it.
Yeah.
And then it also for me, it turns off all the noise. And I have a lot of noise with first off, I'm a husband, then a father.
Yeah.
I have a career, one income family, so it's all on me. And I'm self-employed, but not really. I work for a lot of brands that I absolutely love working for, but they have their demands. So all this is going on. Guess what? All that goes away when I get to go shoot my bow. And the only thing I'm worried about is my mechanics and the release and watching that arrow. And it's man, what if people don't have that? How do they decompress? How did you decompress before you found archery?
Man, I don't know. I don't think I did. To be honest, just, being a mom of 3 boys and all that, I stay home with them. So things are kind of always chaos with the little boys and whatnot. I don't know. That's a pretty big question. I have no idea.
What are the boys' ages?
My oldest is 3, and then 1.5 and 8 months.
How do you time all their naps to synchronize so that you can have some time to yourself? Is that possible?
Yeah, for sure. My oldest, he's obviously he's the oldest, so he's pretty chill. He can kind of hang around, and then I just do it when both of my youngest are napping. So right now their naps line up. I don't know what the future holds, but I'm sure
chaos.
It'll all work out. Yeah,
that's what the future holds. Chaos.
Right.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm here for it.
That's good. Moms are amazing. My wife's amazing. She since she stopped being a nurse a couple years ago, I thought she would be able to help me out with the business. No, not really. She does the books and the accounting. Thank
Hey, that's
God.
a huge help, though.
Oh, are you kidding me? Last thing I want to do is remember to invoice somebody or to pay a contractor that. So she's great at that, and that's off my plate. But I don't know when she has time to even do that. Like, she's constantly doing something for the kids. Like, there's a Christmas concert today. There's piano lessons. There's church tonight. There's wrestling tomorrow. It's just, it never stops. Plus making lunches and feeding all of us and picking up a house it's just ridiculous. So, yeah, moms are awesome. And we as men don't tell you ladies enough how much we appreciate you. And nothing is possible without you guys.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So that's cool. Well, we're going to shoot bows together today. We're going to make a TikTok for your account today. That'll be good. So be on the lookout. When do you want to publish that? Because I have a bow I'm shooting right now that cannot see the light of day till November 19th.
Oh.
Do you want me to use an older bow?
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool. And
we can also do another one, and I will keep that like tucked away for a rainy day.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, I'm using this new bow, and it is.
You love it?
Oh my gosh, I'm just in love with it. It shoots. It just drives tacks, and I love shooting it. But I have a bow from last year that is what I hunted with most of the elk season this year. So,
wow.
Speaking
Do you
of
elk
elk
season,
season,
that?
I want to
like
talk
what
to you
I hunted
about
with elk season. Like that is my goal right there.
Why elk hunting?
I just feel like if you're going to do something, you might as well shoot for the moon. Like, I mean, of course I can, I'm not like bashing like deer hunting or any of that too, because I'm going to do that as well. And like, I love that. But like, I don't know if I can like sit in like a tree stand for a while. I mean, I'm sure I could, but like, there's something about like, just, I don't know, trying to be quiet. It's just thrilling to me. The idea is like so thrilling. And like, when we moved to Oregon, all of a sudden there was like all this like wildlife. I'm talking like fluffy butt squirrels. Like there's like this, like there's so much in my backyard. And then like when I finally saw like a huge herd of elk in my backyard, I was like,
oh, you did? You have seen elk in your backyard?
They're everywhere.
Oh, okay. Now we're talking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the elk hunting thing is, obviously I'm obsessed with it. My whole brand is centered around elk hunting.
Yeah.
The main reason I work out, eat clean, and kind of am a boring person to most people who actually, if they actually got to know me, I'm pretty like boring. I have a couple priorities, and that is make sure I work out today no matter what, because I'm going to need that mental toughness in the mountains. Make sure you shoot your bow every day, because I'm going to get one shot opportunity on a hunt, and I want to make the most of it. And that's really it. And then I got to work and do all the other stuff. So elk hunting changed my life, like my trajectory, everything about it. Like I didn't know about elk hunting when I graduated high school. I had hunted deer quite a bit with my dad growing up. I had my hunter safety at age 10. And my dad's not a hardcore hunter, never has been, but he loves getting outside. And he was generous enough, looking back, to take, I had to beg, but to take me along some of his deer hunting trips and to deer camp with his buddies. And it spoke to me. I was like, this is so cool. I'm with Dad. I remember him like letting me drive his truck around when I was 12 in the back roads and hunting in a foot of snow. And I remember shooting my first buck at age 13 with a rifle. Then I go to high school or junior high and high school, and it's all about sports, man. 3 seasons of sports. I didn't hunt one day from the time I went into junior high till the time I graduated high school. But
that's like so special though. You know what I mean? Like you look back and you have that memory of even just like having fun getting out there, right? Like even if you don't understand all of the like, basics or whatever, like of shooting and whatnot, I just feel like it's nice that like you can look back at that and be like, I want to feel that again.
That's what happened at 19. I graduate high school. And then a couple months, I turned 19. I was old. I didn't get held back, in case you guys were wondering. I just started school. I remember I was 18 before my senior year. So I graduate high school, and I'm almost 19, and I'm looking back, and I'm like, what am I going to do? I don't have sports. Oh, all these hunting memories were awesome. Dad, let's go hunting. And then we eventually found ourselves smack dab in the middle of an elk herd, and I shot a bull with a rifle. And I was like, wait, these things bugle? And it started like, so you're a little bit younger than me. by a lot. So VHS tapes. Have you ever seen a VHS tape?
Yes, of course.
I don't know how young you are, but so I grabbed some VHS tapes of hunting and put them in the VCR player, and these elk are screaming, and it's like prehistoric, and these guys have bows, and they're camoed up, face painted, and they're shooting these elk at like 10, 20 yards, and it's like, whack.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to go get a bow. And I literally am all or none. So like I just went down to this archery shop and said, I'm here to buy a bow. And I just bought a bow, and the rest is history. Elk hunting.
Do you still have that bow?
I wish. No, I don't. It was a Martin Cougar. Martin was made in Washington, Walla Walla, Washington. I don't know if they're even in business anymore. In fact, when I went to this archery shop, I had a good job. When out of high school, I was a personal trainer. So I actually bought my dad a bow too and gave it to him for Father's Day. His was a Martin Pantera. And we just started bow hunting like right then and there. And we taught ourselves how to bow hunt. And I hope, have you taught yourself everything?
Probably not. No. I mean, I feel like there's always room to like learn and grow, right?
But you have YouTube.
I mean, I do. And that's like a huge game changer. And like, you know, my husband, he knows a lot. Like he YouTubed all this before I'm YouTubing this. So it's like, he is my bow shop in a sense. And so with that, and like, I do like consider a lot of the advice that I get online. I'm instructed don't listen to really anybody, but like I try to like read it and take it into consideration, because like I've said this before, like, you know, everybody has their way of doing things and like what works for them, and like I respect that 100%. I just got to find out what works for me.
Yeah.
So
that is true about archery. Like you could do everything absolutely technically wrong, but if you do everything that's absolutely wrong the exact same way every time, you could be deadly with a bow, which is kind of, so it rewards robotics or repeatability, which I like. But I taught myself everything wrong, and I didn't get instruction forever, and I didn't know how to work on my stuff forever. It wasn't until like probably 5-6 years ago where I like begged my archery mentor to quit. Just I'm not going to hand you my bow anymore and have you do everything, and then like you have to show me. And God bless him, his name's Josh Jones. He owns that archery shop right behind us here. He finally invested time and taught me so much. I'm still learning, but man, I can really identify problems, fix problems,
and it's nice to know, like, okay, I know what that is. Like, I know how to fix that, or like whatever. I just feel like if you're gonna do something, you need to learn all the small pieces that go into the big picture. You know.
Yeah, and it
makes you better at what you do.
I agree.
You're like fully, you are one with the bow. Like, that's amazing, right? Like,
it's a deep rabbit hole too.
It's
like,
a what?
A deep rabbit hole. Like, and the YouTube just goes deeper and deeper the more you want to dive in.
Yeah, I need to stop touching it. That's where I'm at now. Like, I've finally reached the point where I'm like, okay, like, get some help, dial in, and just like ride that for a little bit. And then like if you need to switch things up, then talk to some people, or, you know, I'm comfortable at like making the changes, but I feel like I'm working on like an old mechanic like car, like, you know, and that's great, but like I'm ready to fine tune it more, because I really need to start, like, this is like a year journey that I'm on, and I'm like having so much fun, right? And I'm like cracking jokes and I love it, but like behind the camera, it's like this is something that I'm like serious about, and like, you know, I'm taking more shots beyond of what I'm filming just to like really dial in, try to get a group, or, you know, just be more confident. I mean, I was at the range back here today, and there's like a little pig target with like metal, a broken arrow.
Steel target. Yep.
So that's the thing. It's like I want to be confident that like, okay, yeah, I can hit that. I know I can hit that, right?
We all want that, especially in the heat of the moment. I have this video that I made for YouTube. It's coming out soon. And I basically one day just thought about all the different hunting scenarios I've been and all the shot opportunities that I've been exposed to in 24 years. And I tried to pack that into like a 20-minute video of like, okay, new archers. You go to your backyard, there's green grass, you have a flat spot and a target that you know, and you're so comfortable there. And you go shoot there in the evenings when the winds calm down and the sunset, it's beautiful and it's zen, and I'm here for that. But I started looking at like all the shots I've ever taken on animals, and I'm here to tell you, like we're all practicing wrong.
Yeah.
Like if your goal is to bow hunt, which yours is, you have to like start making practice a couple times a week, not as easy as just grab your bow, run out in the back and send a few. And so I made this entire video. I won't give you the whole video, but like there are several scenes, and it took me a week to film, and I self-filmed it, which was a pain in the ass. But I am on top of my shop shooting downhill at 20, 30, 40, and I'm going and looking at the angle the arrow's going in, trying to figure out where to aim on an animal because of that angle, and just getting to know my equipment. I'm shooting from my knees, my butt. I'm drawing on my butt. I'm drawing on my back. I'm shooting from a ground blind I set up in a chair like we are right now. Like sitting in a chair is not the same as standing. It should be. And there's a couple things you can do to make sure you are. And then also knowing your trajectory. Like for you, if you take your top pin and hold at 20 and shoot, cool. What happens if you back up 3 yards and use the same pin? What if you back up 6 yards, 7, 10, middle pin, splitting pin, all these things that are going to happen? Because there's times in the field, right, where you're like you range an animal and it's 25 yards and you draw back. Well, you don't have a 25-yard pin. Have you practiced splitting pins?
So I have no idea what that is, if I'm being completely honest. Like I just actually learned recently how, because whenever I feel like I'm off, I adjust my entire sight.
Okay.
Like housing, didn't know that there was another way to do it, right?
Sure.
So like I'm learning now that top pin should be like 10, 20 yards, right? And then you can adjust your pins from there.
Yeah.
30, 40, whatever. And so that's I'm literally at the start of that right now. So that's where I've like.
Do you know your speeds? Have you ever chronoed an arrow? Yeah.
I don't know any of this.
That's cool.
I mean, I could run next to it and see how fast I go, but like, how am I supposed to know? You know what I mean? I don't even know what my draw weight was.
Okay.
Until like literally some guy today. And that was what was so wild today.
Okay, I got to get, like, so you now know your draw weight as of today?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
is it more or less than what you thought?
I mean, it was pretty spot on.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. But he gave me a range. He's like, oh, this is about, so he didn't tell me it. You need it. You'll know. But like, he didn't tell me the exact number. Anyways, go for it.
No, that's cool. I'm going to guess 50 pounds.
Are you kidding me? Do you think I'm like the Hulk or something?
I have no idea.
I'm not telling you now.
40?
It was like 35, 40.
Okay. Okay.
Remember, I have a Bear Royale.
I don't even know what that is.
Apparently, it's a youth bow for like 8, 9, 10-year-olds. Like,
really?
Yes. So like these kids like can pull. I mean, it can go as low as I think like 5 pounds, right? So I didn't know that I had a bow that was kind of, I can max it out.
Gotcha.
So like that's the reason. Sorry, I'm bringing it back to when I asked you about your first bow, because it's like that's got to be like a huge moment for you when you finally get like your first deer or elk or whatever it may be with that bow. I feel like that's like a burned memory in that, you know?
I remember it was a deer, and it was my first year bow hunting, and I had hunted, like I had missed so many deer, first off. Like this was 2000, the year 2000, or no, 2001. And I got in tree stands, and I had great spots, and I could rattle, and deer would come in. Could they think it was a fight? And I remember like I would like get mad if I didn't rattle in at least 3 different bucks. But I would literally miss every buck.
I'm terrified. That's the worst.
Because I'd black out. Like I was calm, and then a deer would come in, my adrenaline would surge, and I would like forget everything. Well, it can be, but that's the thing. Like that's what you'll have to work through over time. And
like,
I think
starting to sweat even
women are better than men, in my opinion, at shooting sports. Long range, pistols, bows, and they're more coachable. They don't have as much testosterone running through the bloodstream. Like they have no ego. You will be an amazing huntress, guaranteed. And you may not experience what I did, but I did finally get a deer, and when I was able to slow things down.
Was it a buck or a doe?
It was a buck.
Okay.
And it was a 4x4 buck. I probably shot him at 20 yards. I hit him good, and then I had to go get.
Close.
Oh, very close. Wow. Close is good with archery. My dad helped me find him, and I was like literally the most rewarding thing I'd hunted all month long, and I finally got one, and I was hooked. But that's like nothing compared to elk hunting, where I bought an elk tag in 2001, archery elk tag in Idaho.
Okay.
My uncle was a bow hunter, and I put that in quotations because he definitely was, but he was like kind of interested in bow hunting. He wasn't like all or none.
Yeah.
But he took me to some great places. I heard bugles. We chased him.
Which is a huge thing in itself.
It was so cool. And I'm so forever grateful that he took me there. And then I bought an elk tag in Idaho, 2002, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then in 2009, I finally killed my first Idaho archery elk.
Wow.
Now, I did kill some.
Delayed,
I did.
But wow.
Delayed. Now, I killed some elk in other states along that journey. So I think I killed my first elk in 2005.
Yeah.
But since 2009, I think I've probably killed somewhere close to 2 bulls a year in Idaho every year. That learning curve, I'll never trade. I love that I sucked and I got my teeth kicked in, and that it fired me up. I'd come home at the end of September and I would be so psycho about what do I need to do? What can I change? What can I like everything. And it just compounded year over year over year, which is like delayed gratification is like my favorite word. Yeah. Like kids these days, I sound old, they don't know anything about delayed gratification. It's instant gratification. For me, archery elk hunting is one of the greatest roller coasters you're ever going to ride. Yeah. So I think next year, this is going to be your first year? Mm-hmm. Okay. You're going to go home state, Oregon? Mm-hmm. Okay. Are you going to go with your husband?
Hopefully, yeah. That's the plan. I mean, I'm definitely not going alone. So
okay.
I definitely need some strength around me for sure. Because what if, right?
For real.
Here's one thing. I know it's going to happen. Do I know what year it's going to happen? No. But I would love it to be my first year, 100%. I'm going to do everything in my power, and that goes with fitness, that goes with shooting, that goes with making sure my cardio is there, all the different, I'm going to make sure that I feel as ready as I can be before I get out there. Cause there's a lot of work that goes into it instead of just being good with your bow, you know? So, when I do get out there, I know that I wouldn't be able to pack out an animal on my own. So I definitely want to go with a group that we could all kind of chime in and whatnot. Mm-hmm. Right.
Mm-hmm. Now, has your husband elk hunted before?
No, this was his first year elk hunting.
Oh, so he went this year?
Yeah.
What's your husband's name?
His name's Zachary. Mm-hmm.
What up, Zachary? So you tell us, how did his year go?
Okay, so he went, there's not much to say, unfortunately, but he was scouting a lot. And then he would go, he just didn't really get a ton of time out there. I feel like he really needed a week or a couple weeks to kind of because you have to get out there. It was public. It was busy. There was a lot of pressure in the area, which was hard. But for months before, he was driving, hiking, just trying to look for all the signs. And then we went even after the season ended, and he would just show me everything.
Oh, that's
this
cool.
Is a fat bullcrap. Look at that. Wow, this is a tree. What does that look like to you? That is a huge scrape, you know, shedding it, or what is it?
Rubs.
Velvet?
Yeah, they shed their velvet and they make rubs and
just even it's kind of gross, but for me, but even just that you could smell them. Literally, you can smell them. You can see they're huge, bedded down areas, and I don't know. Can you tell the difference between where a bull bedded down than a cow?
Yeah, where they pee in their bed.
Yeah.
You can, if the pee's at the back of the bed versus in the middle of the bed.
I think it was informative, especially for me. That was just raw eyes seeing everything for the first time. But for him, it just lit a fire underneath him, and he was so excited. So that was his main thing that he was so excited to get into when we moved to Oregon, was that. So he had so much fun. And he didn't get anything this year, unfortunately, but you win no matter what. You know what I mean? If you get what you're going for, great. That's awesome. That's the goal. Fill your fridge. Wow. Your freezer, I should say, you know, but even if not, there's something so peaceful about being out there. And I'm a very fast paced, 110, just you know, kind of person. And I just want to quiet down. And so this seems like a great opportunity for me to just kind of enter into that bubble and just appreciate this sport for what it really is. Instead of just shooting your bow and all that. It's just look, you're around some crazy animals, you know, you get to hear quiet, and then there goes a freaking squirrel. But you know what I mean? That's kind of my goal.
Okay, let me ask you about elk calling then, because I saw a TikTok video of you calling, and I thought you'd been elk hunting for 10 years. So how did that come to be?
You know, it started off kind of as like a joke from me because I'm just going to, I love my husband so much. I'm just going to touch back into that really quick. He is a man that he will set his mind to anything and it will happen. Like, he doesn't just do something like, you know, for funsies or whatever. Like, he will do it in I'm trying to say he will dissect everything before he even gives it his all, right? So when he was starting calling and everything, oh man, it was all the time, like in the car, like, you know, the kids are like freaking out, like it was just everywhere. And so I just kind of like, you know, fed off of that, and I would just practice, and he tried to teach me some tricks, and then I luckily caught a few decent bugles on my TikTok. It didn't take too many takes. I'll just say that.
No, you sound really good.
Thank you.
That's going to work, especially if you hunt like timber country Oregon bulls that are vocal.
Yeah.
It's not going to work if you go hunt like the high desert and they can see a long ways and you call. Like, calling's a lot more of a two-person game, which maybe you and your husband can be a powerhouse. I personally don't hunt with my wife. I have taken her elk hunting. We've had some epic days in the field, but you know what? She's not into it. And I don't try to force that or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you guys are both into it, that could be pretty cool, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And like, he loved that too, just like hearing them. Like, sometimes he's like, I just want to go out there just to like bugle and hear them. Like, it's it's crazy. It's addicting. Like, it really is.
I was editing a video when you showed up, and it's the hunt I did in Utah. It's a private ranch. You asked me before we recorded, you just assumed I hunted private property, and I was like, no, I actually hunt public majority of the time, and you were shocked by that.
I was so shocked.
Why?
I think just because a lot of people who, I don't even know how to, I'm so new to this, but like people who have been doing this for a really long time, I feel like, in my personal opinion, they would just lean into more towards private. And I don't know, because I don't know if it's easier or what, but I feel like it takes away like the noise of public hunting.
Yeah, no,
you know, it's like less pressure, and like it's like, I don't want to say this because I don't really know how it works, but it's guaranteed, kind of like,
sure,
you know, they're gonna be there, right?
Right.
So like, I don't know. For some reason, I just thought that like you were maybe ready to kick back and chill and still do all the hard work, but just had it kind kind of laid out.
Ooh,
and
that sounds good, actually. I'm going to look into that. Yeah. No, I think you're not too far off in some instances. Private versus public. I feel way more of a reward when I go to public.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to even describe. But when I was editing this film, and I'm not going to publish it till like August next year, right before elk season, when people all fired up. But this place, like, there's not much more than a few seconds that goes by where an elk's not bugling. Think about what I just said there. I mean, I'm literally getting out of a truck and walking towards elk, and they're bugling. And by the time I get back to the truck at the end of the day, my ears are ringing. I've heard 1,000 bugles.
Does it drive you nuts?
Yeah, by the end of the day, you're like, my ears are ringing. I just don't want to hear it. Like, and that does not happen on public land. Now, I've had some days where I've heard and had some stuff like that happen, but
it's like that. Ooh.
It's just insane. So, and then when I'm there at that ranch, like, I'm not worried about any other hunters coming up over the ridge into the drainage with all these elk bugling. Like, that's not going to happen because it's private, you know? So that is nice to know that, hey, if we don't get it done today, we can probably come right back here and they'll be here. That's not how it is on public. But where I was hunting on private, and it's something I haven't talked about too much, is like, there's higher stakes. This is a really, really, really expensive hunt. And if you wound an elk, you're done. So like, whereas if you were hunting public, not that you're going to go out and wound elk, but if you, like, say you hit an elk in the high shoulder, which a lot of new hunters do, the arrow hits.
Why is that?
Well, it's so darn easy to get sucked over to the vitals, away from the vitals into the shoulder, or they move. But their scap is huge. Their scapula is just giant. It's a plate. And depending on your setup, a lot of people's setups just ain't getting through it, and you hit it and it makes this loud cracking sound, and you see your arrow dangling out barely, and they run off, and then the arrow probably falls out with the broadhead lodged into the bone. Guess what? The elk's like good to go. Like, fine. And if you're on public land, you would probably like, I shoulder shot it, I suck, but you probably wouldn't stop hunting. Maybe if you gut shot one, like, they're going to die and you might not find it, most likely won't. and you might punch your tag and be like, I'm a loser. I don't feel right hunting anymore. That's your ethics. But bottom line is you wound, you're done. And I have a camera guy, and you hunt with this guide, which I'm probably the worst at hunting with guides.
Oh, okay.
It's so hard to you have to do what they say. And
so I assume you've done both. Just
yeah.
Guide and with
I've only
guide.
hunted with a guide a few times, and God bless them all for having to put up with me.
Do what they say, because you have to follow that.
It's the ranch that they guide at. They know what the elk are going to do. And then in this particular place, they have to tell you whether or not you can shoot an animal or not, because there's an age requirement. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I can't tell if a bull is 8 or 7, and you're not supposed to shoot a 7-year-old bull. Okay. So I've done this hunt twice now, and I've had some time to think about it, and I'm like, I just like public land better. Mm-hmm. I don't like the pressure of you can't wound. I'm just a little bit more free to roam and make my own decisions. That's probably the biggest thing, is just I like it all on my shoulders.
Thrilling.
But I'm here to tell you, there's a whole nother level of pressure that many people, and myself included, I used to be one of them, that was like, oh, you're hunting a ranch, it's guaranteed and it's easier. And it's not necessarily the case. It's actually pretty tough to kill an elk there. It's got to be 8 years old, and it's got to be the most perfect shot opportunity, because if you mess it up, you're done. And that's a lot of money down the drain. You know what I mean? So to each their own. I try to not get too wrapped up into where people hunt. Mm-hmm. I try to get wrapped up into where am I going, and what can I do to maximize my time while I'm there, and how can I slow down time? Because September goes by so fast. Mm-hmm. And you were just saying something, this is kind of long ways to get back to. Your husband, you said you wished he had a week. So I imagine he was only hunting weekends.
Yeah, weekends.
You need a month. Archery, elk hunting success is exactly equal to time.
He's going to love to hear this.
And when I hunted Idaho for those years and never got one, I wasn't hunting weekends. I was literally in college, and I would tell professors, give me my homework for the entire month of September. I will not be present until October 1st. I would tell my employer, I am not working in September, and you can fire me if you need to. Mm-hmm. And so I literally have not really missed very many days in September since 2001. Mm-hmm. So I have all this time in the field and still couldn't get it done.
Can you get multiple tags, or is it just one? You can?
Every state you could probably get a tag in if the stars aligned. I try to get tags every year, plural. And by the way, there's a lot of other fellow hunters that do not like that. Mm-hmm. But the Fish and Game sets aside however many tags that they feel comfortable selling. Mm-hmm. And some are draw, and some are points, and some are over the counter. Mm-hmm. Living in Washington for all these years, I'd always have a Washington tag. Mm-hmm. I used to go over to Idaho and buy a tag on the way to the hunt at the gas station. They'd have non-resident over-the-counter tags. That doesn't exist anymore. Mm-hmm. Montana used to not sell out their tags. They'd have leftover tags. Mm-hmm. I could just go pick up a Montana tag. And then there's other states like Utah, Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado. Colorado just ended their over-the-counter archery tags. Used to be unlimited. Mm-hmm. So this was the last year that you could show up September 25th with 5 days left in the season and get an elk tag.
Yeah.
They've changed that. Mm-hmm. They're now going to a point system till you have to put in for these tags. So to answer your question, yes, your best bet for being an Oregon resident is to hunt Oregon. Oregon has an east side and a west side. Mm-hmm. Okay, so your west side, you non-residents like me, I could go over to Oregon Fish and Game and buy a west side over-the-counter archery tag and hunt those Roosevelts. I can't go over and hunt the east side with over-the-counter. There's no more east side Oregon over-the-counter tags. Mm. It's all draw. Doesn't take a lot of points, but each year's a point, and maybe you put in 2025 and you don't draw. The next year you put in and with 1 point going into the draw, and you draw, and you can hunt one of the units over there. I think that's good, but being a resident of Oregon, you'll always be able to hunt your state. Mm-hmm. So do you have a particular interest in going west?
I'm just going to stay as close to home as I possibly can.
So you'll be an east side tag.
Yeah.
East of the Cascades.
Yeah. I just think that if you the more you can get out there and just kind of see what's happening, right? Like the more scouting you can do, like that's like with maps and everything, that's like a better chance that you have, right?
Yeah, and boots on the ground for where you're at. Because you live near elk, you can watch elk year round. I think a lot of people want to
Like
get
I
in.
knew they were going to be here again.
Seriously?
Because like last year, all over my backyard.
That's great.
And so like I just knew it. I was like, they're gonna be right. Like it's like they have they know what they're doing. You know what I mean? So it's just now I can kind of start to watch like where they go. You know.
I think you can also learn their behavior outside of seasons. A lot of hunters only try to like become an elk biologist while they're in the field for their 2 weeks or their 1 week. And then they don't think about elk the rest of the year, and they really don't know shit about elk.
Yeah, well, I mean, it never like changes. Like when I first moved here was my first time seeing wildlife on the road, right? Like seeing a deer, seeing elk, and then I was like, look, like that's so cool, you know? Like when you see horses as you're driving, you're like, oh, look, horses. Like that's how I was. But like every time I see one, I'm like, oh, look, you know, it doesn't get old.
It won't. That's so cool. Well, we're going to go do some bow shooting stuff in my backyard, maybe go to the archery range, and then I'm begging you to elk hunt next year. Like, I know that you and your husband are going to have to figure it out because either you're going to go together and have to get a babysitter. Do you have in-laws nearby?
Yeah, for sure. We have a lot of support.
Oh, thank God. That's okay. Now we're talking. And then maybe you guys can get babysitters and go here or there. He's in the military.
Well, he's in the reserves.
He's in the reserves. Yeah, that's always like, anytime I hear that, I'm like, that's got to be tricky to get time off. You know?
I mean, yeah, sort of. He goes where he's like stationed, right? Once a month. So it kind of depends. I think September might be a dark month though.
That would be
where
great.
he doesn't have to go. Yeah.
That would be great.
If I remember correctly, but who knows? It might switch up every year.
But with your calling ability, and guys, go check out our TikTok. She's got some calling videos. They're like, you sound legit. Like, learn the language and what the sounds actually mean. Maybe you already do. And the timing of them. And like the elk's temperament. And calling's very, very effective with another person. I've called in lots of elk solo, and it's brutal because elk have like sonar. If you break a stick after bugling, they're gonna think you're a bull, and they know the stick you just broke on. Like they're like, oh, I know that stick, and they can literally go and like stand where they need to see the other bull.
So crazy.
And it sucks because if you're calling solo and you make a sound and you don't move up or find a hang, they will literally come in and see right where you're at, and they find a good way to stand where you can't shoot them.
So, like I forgot to say, but that's what happened to my husband this year.
Okay.
He just couldn't get into position. But like even being in the presence, he was like, oh my, you know what I mean? Like, but so yeah, I guess that you have to kind of be strategic. I think I agree with you that it probably would be a little bit better with two, because then you can kind of go back and forth and whatnot.
I think so.
Yeah.
Hopefully he calls as good as you, so you're not always the caller.
Way better than I do.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Then you're a shooter.
Yeah, right. There you go.
But working as a team is really something that I've called for my dad many times, and we've had a lot of success together that way. And if he hadn't been in that situation, calling that same elk to me, it's always way trickier, and especially the shot. Like they're coming at you, and so they're not standing broadside looking a further way down, like they're, you know, and that's, if you're the caller and your husband's a shooter, you're trying to get that elk's attention to you, but have him come in a way where he will never see your husband, and your husband can shoot him broadside. It's
I'm gonna
so
dream about
much
this
better.
Yeah.
And that's cool. And I think elk hunting is super frustrating on public land. Most of our elk encounters that do get spoiled, it's usually because of other hunters coming in from the wrong wind, or they're chasing the same elk, or just they skyline themselves, the elk see it, or you bedded elk in this timber and you're heading there, and all of a sudden you see ass toes. Now they're all heading out of the timber, and you're like, what happened?
See, and that's all I want. I want to be like, oh, the wind shifted. Like that's like my goal, you know? It's like it's just an experience, right? Like I want a bunch of different things to happen, just because I feel like that's going to make you better, right?
You're probably going to want to get a bow upgrade between now and then.
I know.
So
But that, like, it hurts my heart to hear it, though, because it's, you know, you put so much time and effort. Like, I know it sounds kind of weird, but you, like, build a relationship with your bow.
Hell yeah, you do.
You want to be, like, in sync with it and whatnot. And it's like, I feel like this is what brought me into it. And I want to be so loyal to it so that, like, I can actually, like, put it to use of what it's going to do and then be, like, proud of that. But what is it called? The, like, minimum poundage in Oregon, I think, is 40.
Yep.
And so that's like the max of my bow anyways.
Okay.
Obviously my goal is to have a heavier draw weight than that as well. So I agree with you. I think if I upgrade, it'll give me the ability to keep growing, and then I can just shoot for the moon. Like, just
and then rip that Band-Aid off, my friend, so that you have more time with that bow to get that new relationship.
This is true.
And get serious with it. But I think just shooting a bow is cool. And, you know, you don't have to buy a top-end bow. You absolutely do not. You can get, you know, I think used bows are everywhere. You're right-handed?
That's so scary. A used bow? Do you see what I do with mine?
I haven't seen anything too crazy. I think a used bow, there's a lot of dudes out there that buy a new bow every year when the newest ones come out. And they only have a year with that bow. Those are the guys you want to buy you get a good bow from, and eBay or other places, or I don't know where people buy used bows, but I know eBay is viable, and I think you could look at getting, that's one thing I would probably do, and get yourself in that 40 plus pound range. I could see that happening, and you have time, and bow muscles are weird. Like, they just get stronger over time, the more and more you do it. So, like, how many arrows do you shoot a day?
I don't even know what the number would be. I just keep slinging arrows left and right until I feel like I'm like, all right, I don't want to create bad habits anymore. So that's how many arrows I shoot. Just whatever I feel, I guess, but.
And then with the kids, are they infatuated with when you're shooting a bow? Do they, like, want to get in on that, or?
So, like, usually my younger two are sleeping, and my oldest doesn't really have, like, a huge interest in it, but, like, he'll come out there and whatnot and, like, hand me an arrow for my next shot or something. Like, I try not to get them in the videos too much. It's just kind of like, I try to keep it with my dogs and the bow and whatnot. But
that's cool.
Yeah, he thinks it's cool, but he doesn't really show too much of an interest to want to get into it himself. I mean, he's 3. He's got some time, I just picked this up at 26, so, like, who knows? But it's so much fun. I just love it. It's like, I don't know what about it just makes me feel so just, like, empowered, I guess you could say, because it's like an exhilarating feeling. Like, when you're the first time, I remember the first couple of times I did it, after, like, releasing it, I was scared to release it at first.
Okay.
I was so terrified. I was like, what happens when I, like, pull this trigger, And then, like, when it happens, it, like, scared me. I was like, it just snapped, and it's over there now, and I still have the bow in my hand. It was so crazy to me, just, like, that feeling, Like, do you remember that? Like, your first time?
I mean, I'm old. I can't remember.
Oh, come on. With how you work out, you're not that old.
I say, like, I remember... Dude, I didn't have a podcast or YouTube. I had, like, nothing to go off of. So all I remember is being pretty frustrated with, I couldn't really shoot that well for a long time. And I tried to just mimic and emulate anyone I could watch on video, like a DVD or something, and try to, like, oh, they do that, I'm going to try that. And slowly over time, my groups would get tighter. But ultimately... I never got tired of shooting a bow. I will say this, I didn't shoot a bow that much as I probably should have. I didn't, like, shoot every day. Now, there's not a day that goes by that I don't shoot my bow. It's like part of my Zen time, But I think that for you and your journey, everything you've described to me is incredible. Like, that's why I brought you on. I'm like, I want more people to get into archery. I don't care if they ever bow hunt, but I want people to have, like, that thing, that Zen that's been around for the dawn of time, shooting an arrow and watching the mystical flight of the arrow. Like, it just doesn't get old. And the fact that you have this incredible energy towards it, like, I'm telling you, like, it's like, it comes through in your videos, which is why you have 0 to 12K followers on TikTok.
Yeah.
So it's not because you're, like, a world-class archer or you're shooting a bow in a bikini and thirst trapping, I think that's the word. You're not. It's just that you're, like, this fun girl who, like, legitimately loves shooting her bow.
Yeah.
That is cool. How are you going to get that into the YouTube world? That's my world. Like, that's what I want for you.
Yeah. So like my whole goal is just keep up with TikTok. I just enjoy it. I think it's so fun. And just like to add on to that, like I kind of was telling you earlier, like I really do believe that laughter is the best medicine. So like even if I can just brighten like a few people's day, that's a win for me. You know, and I just love it. Like I'm out there, I'm having a great time. My neighbors are like, they love me. Let's just say that. But I think on YouTube, like it'll be the backside of like what it takes to kind of get yourself ready to go hunting.
Yeah.
So, because there's way more into it, right?
That's a story to tell.
Yeah.
For sure.
So, and I mean, I start from nothing because like all I know right now is like it's a big deal to be a good shot, you know, because that's like the moment, right?
Yep.
But like, can you, especially public, right? Hunting elk. I keep hearing you got to get out. You got to get out in there.
Yeah.
That's what I hear. So like, can I get out in there? That's the question, right? And so, I mean, I want it to not be too difficult, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't want to be like, you know, like I want to be like, whew, all right, like that was like, now we're here, let's get it. Like instead of like, oh my gosh, like that was a lot. I need more water. You know what I mean? Like I just want to prep for that. So like, I don't know, I might put like a little like weighted vest on and see if I can go hike 10 miles, you know, or I might just like get a backpack and be like, what would I pack for my hunting trip, you know? And
simulate it.
things like that, like just random things that come into my head daily that I question about like, okay, there's so much more into that. I will just bring it to YouTube and be like, you know, let other people, like maybe they have thought about these things, maybe, you know, and just give something that people might be able to relate to and let them laugh at me because that's my favorite.
No, that's great. And I like that you mentioned kind of like reverse engineering. You're like, okay, it's going to come down to the shot. So obviously that's where I got to spend my time. And then from, okay, how did I get the shot? That's where you start to reverse engineer all the things that go into a hunt, and you'll figure that out. And I'm encouraging you to share that story on YouTube, a little longer form. And I think people will dig it because there's a lot of people in your position too that have heard about elk hunting, want to get into it. Maybe they just got a bow because they thought they want to be an elk hunter. And here's this girl from Oregon. She's doing it and she's putting herself out there. There's a little bit of vulnerability too in YouTube. Like you know, people can sniff out fake stuff and there's nothing fake about you. I can promise you that. So if you're just you and sharing what you know and don't know, and I think people, I would tune in. I think people would really like that kind of content.
Yeah. I know. I'm definitely excited for the start of this. And I can't wait to just look back on a year of all this, you know? And like, I know I'm going to go hunting, you know, I don't know what's going to happen. I assure you I'm going to see some pretty cool stuff, you know, and it's just going to be cool to be like, wow, I started from like just a little like, pachoo, you know, like, and it went somewhere completely. I had no idea where, right?
That's
and now
the best.
Look at me.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I don't know. I just think it'll be like a really cool story to look back on personally as well, you know?
Right. What's the name of your YouTube channel?
So they're both the same, TikTok and YouTube. It's like City G Gone Country, but CNTRY. The whole thing is City Girl Gone Country, but of course they didn't have like a tagline that I could use for that. But
people will
City
find
Girl
that.
Gone Country. That's my thing.
Are you on any other platforms?
I was starting to kind of like try to get into it and see what I liked, but really I just love TikTok and YouTube, and that's probably what I'm going to run with.
There you go.
Yeah.
And you're here today, and then you're heading over to Yakima, Washington, to do an obligation, a ball.
Yeah, so I didn't know that and I could be wrong, but when you are active duty, I guess it's a requirement that you do need to go to the ball. And my husband's in the reserves now, but he still has to attend because technically it's still his like drill weekend that he would be working. So like, but they have the ball, so I'm not mad about it. I'm not like the girliest of girls, but like I love a dress up, right? Like so it'll be nice to go and just like, you know, be his arm candy.
You better be shooting that bow with all decked out. I think that's always good.
A few people told me that. I don't think I can. I'd rather just no makeup and just go for it.
Oh, that's cool.
That's my true self. So,
well, guys, check out Raya. We're gonna go make a quick little TikTok for hers. I'm gonna try to make some sort of YouTube video. Appreciate you guys listening to the pod. Remember, separation is in the preparation. We'll catch you on the next one.